Many people ask, why does God allow suffering? God has an interesting response to a man called Gideon in the book of Judges chapter 6. Gideon says to God, God, if you are for us, then why are we suffering? And what happened to all the miracles that you did with our forefathers? And this sounds like many of us today. If God exists, why are people suffering? If God exists, where are all the miracles that the book talks about? And God responds to Gideon and to us like this: have I not sent you? You see, what Gideon missed, and what most of us miss, is that every time God wants to effect change, he does it through a partnership with one of us. And he's done that by design. You see, in Genesis, when God created man and woman, he created them in his image to have dominion over the earth, to reflect how God leads on the earth. As his representatives, we are his direct partners when it comes to change. And that is why the Bible is written in such a way that it follows willing vessels, people who are willing to partner with God. From Abraham to Joseph, to Moses and Joshua and Deborah, and now insert your name. Your immediate reaction might be exactly like Gideon's. Gideon says, how can I do anything? I am weak. But God says in Corinthians that my power, God's power, is made perfect in our weakness. I.e., God delights in finding that one person that comes from nowhere, that shouldn't be in the room, shouldn't be doing what they're doing, but is doing it anyway because it shows the power of God. I think many of us think about the worst possible suffering, and we think to ourselves, there's no way that I can help that. We might be thinking about wars and starvation and famine in parts of the world that we might not have even been to, that we don't live in. But the reality is, there is suffering within your own family. There's suffering in your neighborhood, in your workplace, in your city. And God sent you there because he wants to partner with you there. And very practically, it doesn't always mean that you're the one who has to lead the cause. You know, Gideon had 300 men in his army. They were less than he wanted, but 300 men helped Gideon. So many times we feel so overwhelmed, like we have to come up with a solution. No, that isn't what God is asking. God is asking is that you are willing to step into something. And the reality is, in the world that we live in today, there are already existing infrastructure, groups, people who are already trying to solve the suffering that you're thinking about. And so even though you might not be a Gideon and you might be more of the 300, find that community group, join that church volunteering group, whatever it is. Be willing to be a partner with God to end the suffering where you can. Because the reality is, suffering on this earth isn't because God doesn't exist. And it isn't because God doesn't care. It's because we don't care enough to be part of the solution, to be used in a way that makes us uncomfortable. It is us who have broken the partnership model that God designed. But if every Christian stood up and said, yes, use me, send me, in our family, in our workplaces, in our gym, in government offices, wherever it might be, if we all stood up and said, yes, I will be used, God can use that yes. He can bring 300 men and women behind that yes. It's not about God being silent. It's about us being silent.